I have some fun foot drills for us today, some balance drills, and just kind of giving our feet a lot of love and care, and just kind of giving you guys some fun ways to work with your the health of your feet, the strength of your feet, the balance of your feet and ankles. Um, it seems like a small area of our body to work on our feet, but yet it's this huge connection to the world and our movement. So a lot of the class today isn't just going to be what we do in this 30 minutes. It's going to be how you guys feel the rest of the day. So, these drills I found them through one of my physical therapists and one of my teachers, instructors named Dr. Kelly Starrett. A lot of you who know me and work with me might have heard of him because I teach so much of the stuff that I've learned. But he in turn learned them through a couple other people. And so I'm going to mention their names as we're doing them because I think it's important to kind of give credit where it's due and just help us understand that this stuff's getting passed down. So if there's one thing I like to think about a lot of what I'm sharing with you guys is it's a little bit like a recipe, right? It's like, hey, there's something going on with my foot. Let me try all those foot drills Nathan shared with me the other day. Maybe it's your toes, maybe it's stiffness, maybe your arch of your foot hurts, maybe you have plantar fasciitis or you have heel pain, or the other day my son just said the outside of his foot hurt. Or your ankle, right? Or we can travel up to the knee. Whatever it is, usually the areas that we can work on regularly are going to kind of get taken care of more easily if we stay on top of it. And so most of us, we think about using our feet as we walk around and do whatever we're doing, but how often do we just sit down and work on the mobility, flexibility, and just kind of check in on our foot, see what's going on? So we're going to do that a little bit today, and I want to make sure that we have some options for you guys that we can work through just as little daily habits too. So again, think of this like a little recipe, right? If you get a recipe from somebody, you like it, you try it, you keep playing with it until you get it the way you want, and then you pass it down to somebody else. So we're going to start off with a little balance just to check, and then as we go through the foot drills, we'll then go back and try the balance stuff again and see if we can pick up on some differences. All right. So let's all stand up. Hopefully, if you guys are, it looks like everybody's on at this point. So let's all stand up. Now, I have these little toe socks on today, so I'm going to be able to kind of do these drills with these socks on because it's still a little chilly out here in the gym. But the first thing I want to do is just be aware of, like, when you look down at your feet, do you have some spread in your toes? Are your toes all squished together, right? That's something we're going to be looking at. And then are you aware of sort of the whole surface of your foot touching the floor? Okay, your toes, the balls of your feet, your heels. Do you tend to sit back? Do you tend to lean forward? Do you tend to roll to the outsides of your feet, right? All these different things. We should have a lot of this mobility to do all these different things. And so we want to just kind of tune in our brain to that. Okay, so the first thing I want you guys to do is just think about going up onto the balls of your feet. Now, that's a little different than the tiptoes, right? I want you guys to go to the balls of your feet. So this front row here, this arch that's right in front of the toes, I want you to think about trying to go up. So it's just a little lift of your heels, all right? And we're just going to see if we can kind of balance on there for a second. All right, so my feet are straight. We're observing good mechanics in terms of knees are kind of wound up. I'm on the balls of my feet. I'm not spinning my feet out like this. I'm keeping my feet straight, and I'm just trying to balance on the balls of my feet, okay? Just on the front of the foot. You can almost think of this as the front half of your foot. So I'm kind of rocking on my right foot, rocking on my left foot, just seeing how it feels. And then I could start to even lift one foot up and see if I can balance on the balls of the left foot. And I'm going to just go to the right foot. And I can feel it's a little more challenging for me on my right foot. It just doesn't feel as strong. So I'm going to check in on that. I'm going to pay attention to that. I'm going to put a little marker on that side, highlight that, say, okay, something's going on that right side. There's my left, there's my right. But remember, we're not on the tippy toes, okay? We're trying to keep the heel somewhat close to the floor and just stay through the balls of our feet. So we're just feeling, you're going to feel your calves working. You might feel your legs. You may feel like, hey, what happens if I tuck my hips? We talk about that a lot in here. Hey, my balance feels a little better now when I tuck my hips. I can breathe a little better in this position. Okay, so we're just jumping right into it, guys. We've even skipped our normal little breathing habit here because we're going to do that when we go back down. And now we're going to switch to the heels. I'm going to try to balance on the heels. We've done this before too in this class. I'm going to try to just, and I'm walking around to get my balance. I'm not necessarily walking around on purpose. I want to see, hey, can I just hang out on my heels? Can I work the muscles in the front of the shins there, whose job it is to pull those toes up? Notice that you're able to keep your feet straight, or when you lift up, are you turning out to compensate? Maybe you're turning in almost. Can we keep those feet straight, guys? And can we breathe? Am I tensing up my neck and shoulders because I'm trying to get my balance somehow with the using my neck? And if you have to, grab a chair and just play around with this stuff. You might feel like, whoa, I can relax a little bit now. What else can I practice? Can I practice taking one hand off, two hands off, right? So these are just some simple ways you can just wake up and start working on your feet, okay? Checking this. And then the next one I'm going to show you is a combination of the two, all right? And this one's called the boat drill, and these are developed by Dr. Romanov, who is a kind of a famous running coach and sort of pioneer of running and position of running and little drills we can do. And so the next one is to go up to the ball of your foot on one. I'm going to demonstrate holding a chair first. Then you put your heel on the toes of that, and you kind of make this little boat shape. Now remember, we're not up on our tiptoes. We're on the balls of our feet. So we're kind of floating that heel up, floating the toes up, and then trying to balance. Okay, so it's a little bit like you're on a balance beam. So from this side, it would look like that. Both knees are bent. So we'll get a little closer here. Just a little lift. Lean your weight on that foot. Make sure your hips are level. Throw that heel on top of that foot. Lift it. You have to bend your knees a little bit. Think about getting closer to the ground if you have to. And then working on balancing in this shape. And of course, breathing. And you can see, again, I'm still feeling a challenge on this right foot. I'm going to check the left. Try to set up. Make sure my balls of my feet are down, not tiptoes. Let's keep going after that because it's going to be hard to tell for some of us. Feet straight and balancing. Making sure I bring my breath with me. Remember, breath is how we talk to the body when we're doing new things. We're just like, hey, everything's good. Let's try this. We want to learn this. All right, guys. So we played around with that for a little bit. Now we're going to drop down to the ground. Right? We just sort of challenged a part of our body and we kind of checked in on it, right? Having some stuff. For me, I noticed some things on my right foot compared to my left. So these next set of drills are called the Laughlin drills, who is another famous physical therapist to develop these. And so again, it's like this information is just getting passed down from one person to the next. I want you guys to try to play with these. So we're going to just take our foot, right? We've got all our toes. We talked about when our foot's just at rest, they shouldn't really be squished together. Like even my toes, like a lot of them are touching. There's not a lot of space. Now, maybe you can learn to spread your toes out, right? Can you separate the movement of each toe? Can we go forward, backwards? Can we spread out? Those are going to be the main ones we do. But before we even get into the toes, all right, I want you guys to look at, here's the top of the foot, and we have this arch that goes across this way. We think about the arches, the main arch that everybody thinks about when it hurts, and we've got the arch on the outside of the foot, but we also have this arch that allows the foot to be steered this direction, okay? So as I'm looking at my foot and I'm just kind of sitting here, I can grab it. Let me try to show you guys from a good angle here. I can grab that whole piece and just kind of wind it up this way, and then I can wind it up that way. And some of us might notice you have some decent range in one position or the other. So if I grab it, I can turn the foot this direction, and I'm getting kind of this twist. Think about it like the way we might twist our torso and get a lot of wind up of twisting through the body. We're doing that down here for our foot. So we're kind of twisting in and we're twisting the other way. And you might realize, hey, I've got pretty good range this way. Like, wow, I can go pretty far. But this direction, where I need to keep that big toe down on the ground, for example, and that toe down and that arch intact and sort of kind of unbind up this ankle, it's a lot more stiff here. So I'm just going to go in and out of this position and just sort of remind my foot, and not just remind my foot, but remind my brain that I have access to these movements, to these positions. I'm breathing here. Like I can feel a lot more stretch going through here and kind of around the outside here. And I'm just pushing. It's almost like you're pushing the big toe down, winding it up, going back the other way, just kind of going in and out. If you feel like you're straining and you're even holding your breath now while you're doing this, just breathe. Remember, in through the belly. Fill that belly with air. And maybe when you're pushing towards the direction that's the most tense, exhale out. So just hang out there while you finish that breath in, or breath out, excuse me. And we go the other way. Breathe in. Fill the belly with air. Exhale out. Don't really feel too much tension in that direction. Let me go back to this one again. Take a big breath in. And on the exhale, maybe see if I can give it a little more twist. Want to be able to do a nice long exhale. All right, so we're just double checking, getting some good movement in. All right, guys, good. All right, next, let's switch feet because I want you guys to be able to compare a little bit more easily. All right, so again, grabbing the foot right in that middle section, okay, right about there, just where you can easily hold the pressure on the whole foot, and so that I'm not just steering maybe up on the big toe. I've got the whole foot in my hand, I'm gripping it, and I'm trying to steer that whole sort of, and I can grab it this way if I want to go that way. And I can feel this side is much stiffer going this direction. All right, so this was my stronger foot, or at least it felt more stable and balanced, and it kind of makes sense because it's just a little stiffer. It is a little stronger, so it's giving me more resistance as I push this foot down or try to push the big toe towards the ground. Opening up. And this foot, I feel more of a stretch going this way, like it needs it. So I'm going to hold it there. Take a big breath in and out. Fill my belly with air. Hold that position. Exhale out. Relax. You know, some of us may have had a history with our feet where it hurts a lot. I have clients that say they wake up in the morning and they don't even want to put their feet on the floor. They just want slippers or shoes. They don't even want to walk around barefoot. So we have to think about what signals we're getting from our feet. Like, hey, they may need some of this, right? They might just need some checking in, some input that's healthy, that's functional, right? All we're doing here is just working with the natural sort of abilities the foot should have. We're not trying to do anything crazy or break anything or hurt it, right? And so that's where the breath work really helps, is to remind not just the body, but us that this is okay to do. If I'm watching TV, hanging out on a Friday night next week, I can just work on my feet. So go ahead, if you feel like you're starting to get where your kind of range is ending, maybe try pushing into it a little bit more. Okay, see if you can get that to twist and hang. Good job, guys, good. All right, so we worked on that part. Okay, next we're gonna go into the toes. And we're just gonna see if we can kind of get our fingers in between our toes and sort of restore all the spread, okay? They make a lot of things like toe spacers now you can get that slide over. They kind of look like little neoprene or, I guess, rubber brass knuckles that go over the toes, and just you can walk around all day long with these toe spreaders on. Those are kind of cool, but that's kind of what we're doing, is we're getting our fingers in between each toe. All right, and we're just gonna sort of see if we can get them all the way to the bottom. Be careful if this really hurts, if this is just brutal, then maybe use the tips of your fingers or just try to get in there a little bit if you can, and just see if you can work up to this. But now I'm kind of grabbing my foot. I've got my fingers in between, and I got some tension in there. There's definitely some little tenderness as the skin is stretching and as the feet and the toes are getting stretched each one at a time. We're kind of moving joints into new positions here. So I'm just starting by gripping, and I'm imagining that I'm just stretching the space between each toe. I'm just holding here for a second, and I'm just going to breathe, kind of telling these toes to relax a little bit, to let my hand in there. And then the cool thing is we can kind of get this 2-for-1 where we're steering again, right? I can steer a little bit more and kind of get all of this moving at once. So I'm kind of working that back and forth, and you might just feel some different stretching now. Now that your toes are spread out, you might feel, hey, this feels a little different. So I'm pushing that big toe down, pulling it back up, pushing that big foot down. And I'm definitely feeling a lot through this whole arch here. We're not just doing the bones, guys. We're doing the muscles. We're doing the fascia. All right. And it really helps sometimes to be reminded that this whole bottom of our foot is almost like it's all connected through here. So whether you feel like, oh, it's got to be my calves that are tight, or it's just got to be this one arch here that's tight, this whole system gets tight. And we want to treat it like that. We want to kind of keep it moving here. So I'm just going back and forth nonstop, gripping and twisting, reminding myself to breathe. You guys should all be doing a lot of glorious breathing. I'm going to be sitting here talking and coaching, but I want you guys to just think about breathing in through your nose. Fill the belly with air. Anytime you feel some discomfort, hang out there, breathe out. Good, guys, good. So now that we've gotten sort of a big stretch through all the toes, you might even be able to just look at your foot for a second and see, hey, there might be already some space getting restored. All right, so just to kind of check in on that more, we're going to pull the toes apart. Be careful here. I don't want anybody ripping skin or anything like that, especially if your toes are dry in here. You could definitely do this with oil or lotion if you want to, and especially it might feel good that way. And I'm just kind of gently pulling each toe, just seeing where the natural sort of end of the range of motion is. Pulling it apart, going down the line, one toe at a time, and just pulling each one a little bit, checking in. I'm not going to strain it. And then we're also going to pull the toe up, okay? Now, depending on the angle of your foot, right? If your toe's pointed, you're going to have a certain range of motion in your big toe. If your toe's flexed, you'll have less, okay? But in this sort of 90-degree angle in the ankle joint, and thank you, Dr. Kelly, there for reminding me of this, that when the ankle is in this 90-degree position, we should have a good 90 degrees in that big toe, okay? You guys will notice if you pull your foot all the way up, as close to your shin as you can, you're going to notice less, okay? But as that foot comes down to about 90, and you're just kind of eyeballing this, you should be able to get about 90 degrees here, okay? So we want to check in on be able to pull that, and then go down the line with each toe. And as you go to the next toe, you can just pull one down and one up, okay? And just hold for a minute, take a breath in and out. You can switch. I'm going down the line. My second toe, my third toe, I'm kind of pulling the third toe up, second toe down, getting a little stretch here, make sure I'm breathing. Then I go to the next one, right? Third toe goes down, fourth toe goes up. And you could play around with where your ankle is, but I think we're kind of sticking with this roughly 90-degree shape. Then I can do my fourth toe and my fifth toe. Just breathing. Then I'm going back up the line here, just real quick. Back up the line. Then I check the spread again. It's like, hey, this feels a little better now. Pulling the toes apart after doing flexing and extending. Now the toes feel like they're spreading a little bit easier. And then, hey, let's check this one more time. Is this getting even at all a little easier now? How does that feel? So we're constantly testing and retesting, just giving our brains ways to work. Does this feel a little bit different? Like, oh, I'm getting a little bit more here and there. And if it's not moving further, it just feels a little easier. There's a little more confidence now in doing it. It's like the body picked up on what I'm trying to do, and it's like, okay, We feel safe with this. We're starting to move our feet a little bit more. That means the connection of our mind to our feet and our ability to control our feet might already be upregulated. So we're hoping when we stand up now for those balance drills, they're going to feel a little different. Okay, let's switch feet here real quick. All right, so remember, we're starting off with just looking at the space, right? Checking things out. I'm just going down the line. I'm going to see what kind of space I've got. I'm going to try to get my fingers in here, getting the fingers in between each toe. And then I'm getting that. And this side, this side is way tighter for me. Okay, getting this pinky finger in on this last side, it's pretty tight. So I know that I remember what happened on that foot, that it's going to be a little tight the first time I get in here. And that's okay. I'm not going to force it. I'm just going to allow some fingers are going to be towards the top. They're not going to be all the way down. And I'm just going to start with some breathing. Especially if this is really uncomfortable, guys. If you're like, oh, this just really hurts, just back off a little bit. If you'd rather wait this one out and not do it, or just use the very tips of your fingers, or maybe just do a couple fingers, whatever you can do, right? It's good to understand where you're kind of entering in this drill, right? It doesn't have to be necessarily where I'm showing you. You just need to know where you can start, okay? So we've got these fingers in here. I'm going to just start with a little breathing here. Fill that belly with air. Exhale out through the nose. Sometimes that will help get better breathing mechanics, okay? Breathe in through the nose. Breathe out through the nose. If you want to do a little bit more longer breath, you can breathe out through the mouth. And I can already feel just getting a little bit more comfortable. So I'm going to start working on my twist here, just being gentle. If I feel any really discomfort or pain, I can feel some tenderness around this, trying to get that pinky finger next to that pinky toe. I'm just going through, trying to wind this foot up. Again, it's kind of steering it. Remember, turning this way tends to be a little bit more stiff, okay? And it's hard sometimes to differentiate between the ankle moving, right, and the foot moving. So if you kind of hold your foot in 90 degrees and then just twist, you'll see, okay, that's kind of really what I'm looking at here. Winding up this way seems to go decently far. This one is the one we're after, guys. When we go this way, think about when our foot's on the ground and we've got our arch. That's kind of what we're looking. Can we keep our big toe down and have this arch and this nice stable ankle? So we're kind of reminding the body, hey, I want to be able to do this. And don't worry about if you have any issues with bunions, we're not working on pushing that toe over. We're simply working on giving the arch the flexibility it needs to respond to the ground and be stable. Okay, so if anything, this is the kind of work. Hey, and look, I just got my pinky finger down a little bit. It's starting to open up. Moving back and forth, getting that twist. Good job, guys. Good. All right, let's go through our toe spread. Remember, we're just hanging out. You can spend as long as you want on this. I just want to kind of give you guys a sense of what you can do and then allow you to sort of make this recipe the way you want, okay? Share it the way you want, work on it the way you want. Maybe it's just quick in the morning, you sit at the edge of the bed, bring your foot up and do this a little bit before you start walking, okay? We're going down each one now. We're going across, right? One toe goes up, the one goes down. We just go up the line. And believe it or not, because we already did one foot, the brain already knows, like, oh yeah, I remember what's going on here. I know what we're trying to do. So you may even find that getting some results on the next foot or the second foot is already improving. So now I'm going back down the line, pushing one toe up, one toe down. I feel a lot more stiffness in the fascia up in here. It's just noticeable. I can really tell this whole left foot is just stiffer. So maybe we grip with our toes a lot without thinking about it for balance, okay, especially if we do things with our legs like squatting or exercises, or we just are unstable. Those of us with low back issues, you may find your feet and arches and calves are stiff because you're unstable a lot of the time because of instability around the spine. So we end up doing a lot of extra work with our feet to get balance. And so they're going to be stiff and tight, okay? So moving up and back. back and forth. I want you guys to just feel some freedom kind of working on your feet here. All right, good job, guys. Good. Okay, so we're going to get into the shin just briefly here before we try our last set of drills here. And this position might be pretty challenging for some of us, but I want to see if you guys can get one leg back. All right, and we're going to work on sort of this top of the foot, or in the top of the shin. And now that my foot is kind of blocked down, okay, I'm getting a big stretch from the top of my foot all the way up to my knee and even maybe in through this quad here. My heel is outside of my hip. I'm not sitting on my foot. I'm just next to it. All right, now for some of us, you might already feel enough of a stretch. Maybe this hurts your knee a little bit. So if you have to, you can either lean forward a little bit to take some of the stress off of sitting back so far, or you can just hold your hands or hold a chair if you have to give yourself some kind of help here. But we're just trying to initially breathe. And then we're going to see if we can start to lift that knee up and get more stretch through here. Okay, so we're just being gentle, coming down, coming back up. See if we can get into the top of the foot now. So I'm kind of at the ankle, top of the foot, and then we could go all the way up to the toes. Oh, and you'll really feel some stretching through here. Just kind of being incremental about this. I'm showing you guys a lot of things, but it doesn't mean you have to force yourself to do it, okay? That's one thing I want to make sure is clear in this class is I just want to kind of give you guys a continuum that you can work up and down, right? So for some of us, this is it. We're just going to be happy we can sit here and breathe and just try to breathe in this position. For some of us, hey, maybe you're super flexible. You've got a lot of play down here and you're just no big deal. I can lift this knee up, I can go further, or you can just go in and out of it like this, maybe hanging out the top. And then we come down, we're getting this big stretch through the shins, all the muscles of that area, just kind of reminding the foot that that work we just did is gonna impact everything upstream here, okay? Good job, guys. I'm gonna switch. Getting this foot behind us, this foot's kind of straight. All right, the heel's to the outside of the hip, okay? And then I'm gonna start just breathing here. Make sure I can breathe in and out, get that knee down, keep that foot pretty straight back here. And then I'm gonna start noticing, hey, what does this side feel like? Can I get that knee up a little bit? You're gonna feel a stretch in the front of the ankle. Maybe the top of the foot, maybe your toes. If you're feeling any cramping going on in the back here of the arch or your toes, try to just relax your foot. It might be giving you a sense of how your foot compensates. When you point, you might be just really tight in those arches. So we're just trying to relax the foot and then ease into these foot drills here. Lifting that knee, big breath in and out. Reminding the body everything's safe about what I'm doing. I'm gonna try to go a little further if I can. If I can't, I don't. Big breath in and out. Hold the top of that breath for a second, and then long exhales. Maybe I go all the way up to my toes. Here it is, my left foot, really tight. Whew, this is pretty tender. I'm feeling a ton of stretch down there. So I'm really paying attention to this because I just, like you guys, I probably have not worked on my feet like this in a while, right? I just haven't done these exact drills in a while, but I'm thankful because they're like assessments, right? That's what's so great about some of these foot drills and for like any movement is they're assessments. They're telling you something. Your body is cueing you into what it needs, not what not to do, but hey, it needs this. So how can I work on this in a way that brings me some ease, right? Maybe it's just here. And I know where I'm headed. I know eventually I want to be able to get up to my toes. All right, guys, let's get up and try our balance drills one more time. So your feet might feel a little bit like, oh, like they're recovering already. So take a second as you make your way out to your feet. Let's go ahead and stand up. And again, if you're really feeling wobbly, if you're like, oh, back stiff or anything from just having been on the floor for a while, just give yourself some help, hold the back of a chair. And let's just see how we sense the balls of our feet now. Do you just feel way more aware of the floor? Do you feel like you almost have these extra sensors down on your feet now where you can tell what's going on. I feel like balancing a little easier. We touched this once before we started the class. So the idea of that is to prime the brain into remembering, hey, this is what we're chasing, right? These little drills here, these balance drills, this is what we're looking forward to. This is what we're looking up to. This is what we sort of want to level up to being able to do. So we're going to get some tools for this and work on it. So now I feel a little more ready because I've done this once. My brain remembers that. I'm working now with balancing left foot, balancing on the right foot. This one especially, I think, is a great one because we don't often think about the balls of our feet. We usually think maybe of tip toes or foot on the ground. But to just really just lift your heels up a little and just try to be on the balls of your feet and balance there and feel how that sort of forward lean, you guys, you might feel your core kicks on a little bit more. Okay, and then, hey, can we balance on one foot without going all the way up to your tiptoes, but staying on the balls of your feet? A lot easier on this right foot that was having more challenge. My left foot feels a little bit still easier on my left, still going to my right, but hey, right, I definitely feel an improvement. So to me, if I want to improve these balance drills, I'm going to remember to go down and do some of the foot drills first, because why not, right? Give yourself a chance, make it as easy as possible. Okay, let's go up to our heels. Big difference here for me, big difference. It just feels so much easier to lift those toes up. We stretched the whole front of our shin just a minute ago, and now I had a lot more input in there, and I can feel those muscles working more efficiently. So walking around on my heels, even just trying to be still and balance. If I need to, I can hold on. The nice thing about holding something, even if you guys feel like this isn't super challenging, is you might feel you can breathe easier, right? The minute I grab this chair, I relax. Breathe into the belly, and then teach myself that I shouldn't be tensing up through my neck, right? So walking around on the heels, go back to the balls of your feet and go back and forth, guys. Remember, we're not way high on your toes, although you can do that. We're practicing specifically today, kind of stay on the balls of our feet. And then we're going to do the boat drill, right? Which is balls of your feet on one foot, then you place the heel on the other, and you see if you can balance. I definitely feel like this is a little easier now. I was practicing this even before class yesterday, just to make sure I could demonstrate for you guys. You can bend your knees. You could potentially work on even squatting down in this position. Okay, there's a lot of ways you can play with this stuff, guys. So I'm balancing. This is definitely easier. So remember, we're looking for incremental improvement here. We're not looking for a yes or no or, an all or nothing. Okay, we're looking for, can I sense change? That's half the goal of this class for you guys, is to sense change, is to just be able to, can I sense mobility is improved in my foot? Can I sense better control of my foot? Can I sense that I'm connected to the ground, and then can I feel the pressure of my feet on the floor? All right, and then lastly, you can try things like squatting, right? We didn't cover that this morning, but how does it feel to squat now, right? I want you guys to just play the rest of the day. Maybe you go for a hike. Maybe you just spend some time in your bare feet or some toe socks like this if it's cold, and just explore how your feet feel, okay? You just did a ton of work on your feet. For some of us, maybe we've done more than we ever have. So I want you guys to just remember some of these things, and I'll probably recap some of these next class as well, because I want you guys to keep your consistency up, especially if you've gotten used to getting up. I know how easy it can be if once class goes away to kind of forget about it the next one. All right, guys, have such a great Saturday. Explore your feet, have fun with your feet, walk barefoot a little bit before you put your shoes on right away, okay? You guys take it easy.